Hi, my name is Sean Nicholson, and this is Kingdom Business, where we are growing ministry and business. Our goal for you is to see where intersection of ministry and business meet. Each week, we're bringing a phenomenal opportunity for you, the viewers, to tune in to see topics that can speak to both your personal as well as your professional goals, as I reveal how I'm able to keep God at the center of it all. As I always say, okay, let's go. Listen, we have a powerful show for you today. In this episode, we are focusing on vision, focusing on planning, focusing on pivoting, even. And I promise you, if you would pay attention to what we are talking about today, it's going to totally bless you. The exciting thing about Kingdom Business is that we keep the conversation going. Even when we are not streaming here, I want you to reach out to me with your questions, your comments, and your concerns. I'm listening online at Kbiz World on Twitter or Facebook at Kingdom Business 7. You can also email me at contact@kingdombusiness.world. Now, listen, this is season 2, our 3rd episode. We want to give a shout out to Dr. Michael Stevens for coming and visiting us on last week, talking about the M-Peace app. Listen, you have 10 more days to take advantage of this. And I'm telling you, it is going to enhance your ministry, enhance your church as it relates to the social media and live broadcasting and really outreach and connectivity and engaging your parishioners in your congregation. So definitely pay attention. If you have any information about that, you can send us an email as well at contact@kingdombusiness.world. We'll hook you up. The promotion ends January 31st. So you have time, but you got to act right now. Well, welcome again. And I am excited about this particular episode, if you will, because we're talking about something that I think is a buzzword or has become a buzzword as it relates to business, as relates to life, as relates to church. You're hearing all around the globe, pivot, pivot, pivot. So what exactly is pivoting? Well, we're going to talk about that on today. I promise you that this is a time that you can really get your notebooks out. You can call your friend. You can subscribe. You can look at our website, whatever you need to do to glean more information of how that we together can grow ministry and business. It's important for me to be able to give you the tools that are necessary to grow ministry and business. All right. Well, as we look at pivoting, I want to take some information or discuss with you some things on today that I'm pulling from actually my latest book called Pivot. Now, that is an acronym that we have created that is planning, innovation, vision, outweigh threats. And it is available now. It's available wherever you can buy books online. There's a digital copy that is out there now on Amazon, and the others will be released probably later on this month. Now, as we look at pivoting, the word pivot is often used, as I mentioned, in business or even in entrepreneurship. But what does pivoting in business really mean? And why do people use it so much? Well, the definition of pivot in business is that this means fundamentally changing the direction of business when you realize that the current products or services aren't meeting the current needs in the market. So, what is pivoting? While pivoting is, or in the startup world, means to shift to a new strategy, it's often believed that it can drastically change the entire company. But this is not always the case. Oftentimes, a company only has one important problem that needs to be addressed and only requires one aspect of that company to change. Now, when I mention company and I mention business, understand that this is interchangeable with ministry because, again, ministry is business. Now, I'm going to give you a few examples so that you can track along with me, such as turning one feature of a product into a product itself, resulting into a similar, more streamlined offering for your business. Or the opposite of what I just mentioned is also considered a pivot as well, in which that one product is turned into a feature of a larger suite of features as part of another product. Another example would be focusing on different sets of customers by positioning a company into a new market or a new platform. Changing a platform from a app, and here's a good plug for in the MP's app, changing your current website into a app or an app or to a software or even vice versa. Using different technology to build a product, often to cut down on manufacturing costs or to create more reliable products. Another example would be, well, I'll just leave you with that right now. But there are several and certainly plenty of other examples of pivoting that are not included in what I just mentioned. But at least you now understand that pivoting encompasses numbers of directions, if you will, for a startup or an existing business or a ministry. Now, during COVID, the need for flexibility is not a choice, it is a necessity for survival. Business owners are required to consider pivotal changes to better position themselves for the future. So, what does that really mean? A pivotus, which is the central point on which a mechanism can turn or oscillate. So, when it comes to your business during difficult times, you may need to consider implementing a pivotal strategy by making a few fundamental changes to the way that you engage with your clients, your members, or the way that you do business, even if it's a temporary measure. You see, the key issue is to keep them connected to you, to be able to engage with them. Now, I will admit that these times are very stressful for everyone, and reaching out to your clients will be appreciated as you continue to provide them with good advice as well as support. So, in my book, I mentioned a couple of suggestions to consider. Here's one: introduce a survey and ask your clients what additional services they would appreciate as you aim to continue to provide them with ongoing support as well as value. Are they interested in body shaping treatments or massage for stress reduction or nutrition support or weight loss management, etc.? This will help them appreciate you for continuing to evolve and also to provide them with new options. It will also help you to identify new possibilities in that area that you can expand your business, areas perhaps that you may not have ever considered before. Maybe you could introduce them to an Instagram shop to do your business or to sell off some of the stuff that you have in your stock or your inventory that has piled up. If you don't have a stock, you can always start with something simple or some simple reel that showcases you behind the scenes offering coaching and offering advice. It may be unusual to provide beauty or spa or health services online, but consider what your clients require while they are unable to see you. Can you advise them on the best items to utilize between facials? Try to build on a service that you already provide and consider other methods to meet your clients' demands using the same products that you already have. I think if you do this, you can use these ideas as springboards to basically stimulate your own options. During difficult times, we can still sow seeds of compassion and compare, or rather care, which are attributes that are always valuable in any business or any ministry, but even more so during challenging times. I suggest that you should consider the challenges of adopting a pivot mindset. You see, it's tough in certain times like this to run a business because you're faced with multiple threats of COVID, the great economic uncertainty that's lying ahead for us in 2022, the workforce, unemployment, right? a new strand that perhaps may pop up. We've witnessed the determination and the entrepreneurialism of the certain clients that have shown to react to these particular changes, pivot business models, and how we can find new ways for achieving business success. There are entrepreneurs who will react to the crisis and then find new ways of winning customers and bringing in sales. For example, with clothing brands, no one is buying expensive party dresses and gala attire. So the clothing manufacturers are focusing on comfortable loungewears, right? Cozy winter clothing. It's what people want and what sells. That's all you can do is capture the mood, right? And then find the market that is there and then sell to it. You see, achieving a pivot mindset basically is all about being innovative and having the desire to try new things. But that can be scary, it can be overwhelming for many business owners, especially if you're well established. If you've been running a successful business model for a period of time, you know what you're doing, right? So the thought of doing something radically different can be very daunting for you. So here's a suggestion: make incremental changes. Try to make small changes that reduce your cost base or increase your income with a very clear goal of what you want to achieve. Don't be afraid of failure. If a small change doesn't work, you've not you haven't messed up anything, right? You have not had a complete disaster. You can try something else and then learn from those mistakes. Build on your results. Once you have made a change, watch what the effect is. Look at your results and then build on that. You see, lots of small successes start to add up. Another thing is to have the ability to read the market and then pivot your business model according to the market. Overcoming obstacles and is important to pivoting in business. You see, the pandemic has forced people's hand to a degree and has made us all having to rethink our strategy. The business that are going under are the ones that are already doing badly, or the ones that couldn't find new ways of doing things. So if you want to push through the challenging times and to come out on the other side, there's a real imperative. It's very imperative for you to overcome the big pivot hurdles. What are some of the main hurdles, you may ask? Well, not having the correct expertise. If you used to supply products to high street retailers, or retail is now being overtaken by e-commerce, that's a whole new marketplace and a whole new skill set to sell online and then to develop your product. But these are specialty areas where it's tough to succeed without a help of a coach. Not having a clear forecast. Everyone is having to look at cash flow and financial forecasts in a way that they never did before. No one has the proverbial crystal ball for 2022. So you have to start with things that are certain, like core overheads, and get some realistic cash flow projections together. Not having the income to cover overhead with revenues down, many companies have taken a hard look at overheads to see where there's slack or where the slack can be cut out. In business, we say we got to see where we trim the fat. When you know your cost, you know what you need to bring in revenue wise in order to break even, and what you need to sell in order to reach that revenue target. We're having to pivot our business models, a couple of our business models right now. And I'm telling you, it's not fun. It's not comfortable. And in some cases, it does seem overwhelming. But guess what? It's necessary. It is necessary to do because we want to keep tracking on. We want to be able to make sure that our business stays successful. So we got to set the right foundations for change. Now, I know that there's obstacles to pivoting. I understand that. But the question is, what are the key elements that you need to pivot? Each business is different, right? But there are certain fundamental elements that will help you pivot more successfully. Here's a few examples for you. Good financial information, having accurate and high quality financial numbers is always a great starting place. You need to know what your fixed costs are before you can make any decisions that affect your income streams. Having a good strategic plan. Every business action needs a plan behind it, and pivoting is no different. If you're intending to launch in a new market, you need to identify your goal, your strategy, your targets, and budget for achieving that. Since scenario planning, if you have forecasts in place, which with different scenarios, you can make changes to your business model with more confidence and know that you'll have the required income stream to cover those outgoings. Working with the best advisors. One of the key things is the need to invest in a solid professional advice before and after your pivot. There's another plug for coaching. You need a business coach. In essence, you need a plan and advice from the right experts. This comes with a cost, which is your willingness to want to triumph over this pandemic lockdown. And guess what? I am here to teach you how to pivot as a way to help with those changes and so that you can be more successful. Listen, we got to take a quick break because, as I like to say, we got to pay some bills. But as I go through these key points, I hope that you are gleaning something from it because it's very important. And all of us are going to have to do it if we want to remain successful in what we're doing. So I challenge you today to take a look at some of these ideas. It's going to help you. All right. Listen, don't forget, we're listening to you online, and I want you to reach out to us with your questions, your comments, your concerns by emailing me at contact@kingdombusiness.world. I can always hit you back with the answers on our next episode, but you got to keep watching, got to stay engaged so that we can keep the conversation going. Now, we're going to take a quick break because I got to pay some bills, as I mentioned, but you don't want to miss what we have coming up on the second segment. All right. We'll be right back.
It's a new year. It's a new you. It's a new season. We got to grow our churches. We got to find a way in this pandemic to find a way to connect, to communicate, to get our increase of giving back up so we can do the work of the Lord to see his kingdom extended and the local church growing, particularly in this virtual space. I'm so excited about the innovative and attractive church app that we now have the opportunity to share with so many pastors around the country. The average person spends 3 hours a day looking at their phone now. Can you imagine, instead of going to a website that's destination driven, that on the palm of your hand, sending out push notifications, sending out information to all of the people who follow you. Speaking of following, social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything you need is right there at the palm of your hand in the MP's Church app. Again, I want to encourage you to make 2022 the greatest year of growing your ministry, being high tech, being high touch, and being the people that God has called both you and I to be in this virtual space. Again, I'm Dr. Michael Anthony Stevens, Senior Director of NP's Church Apps. I encourage you to get the app, sign up now, and make this your greatest year.
right, we are back. We're back. I hope you're gleaning something for today. For those of you just tuning in, I am Dr. Sean Nicholson, and this is Kingdom Business, where we're growing ministry and business. Now, I talked a lot about business on the first half, but I'm not going to leave my faith based community out. See, helping your business as well as your ministry is a to pivot successfully is very important to me. You know, we're working with some owner managers and some churches to help them to survive in this crisis. We're reviewing their business model and we're looking at their pivotal options. And I would love to pivot with you to put your financials and your strategic plan together. You see, in this current climate, change will be needed. Doing nothing is not an option. 2022 is a time to show your entrepreneurial spirit and react to the market. Decide on your pivot. Work towards that plan and aim to reach those targets by putting your best entrepreneur foot forward. You see, some businesses were forced to pivot during this coronavirus pandemic, and some of them didn't make it. You know, there's a tale of three churches that I would like to illustrate. And the tale of three churches, you can kind of put in business terms, if you will. Now, let's observe these three churches. There were three churches in different states that reacted differently to COVID. Two pivoted almost immediately to their new reality of having to meet the needs of the community via online ministry. Services, small groups, and other outreach remained intact, but shifted to a virtual connection. As a result, members remain engaged and connected. Their two states took very different approaches to reopening. Both churches again quickly pivoted as needed. One shifted back to in-person services without masks, and the other had to dive deeper into the virtual realm to remain relevant. One shifted back to the third church, rather, took almost no action by closing its doors and seemingly hoping for the pandemic to be over quickly with a return to the status quo. And guess what? That didn't happen. They pivoted too late and didn't make a big enough shift, which left programs fragmented and people were unengaged. Pivoting requires the willingness to change. I think it's most important. I think that the tale of the three churches, that is very familiar across the whole globe. When you pivot in your business, it reignites your passion, the fire burning inside you. It gives you excitement to get back out there and share the message with the whole world. Excuse me. And most importantly, it allows you to serve your audience in the best ways possible. That's very, very important. COVID-19 is not going anywhere anytime soon, and it has been around long enough for us to have a baseline on how the world works in time of a pandemic. And for you to be able to pivot, you need to take your time, recognize your passion. Passion is better for business. Passion will keep you driven. Passion will help you manage stress. And if you had passion at the start, you can always revive it. I also think back about I often think back on what I experienced during this global pandemic at large. There was company growth, there were milestones, there were significant triumphs, but there were also defeats and hardships that we had to overcome. In my book, Pivot, I will give you a full understanding of what it means. Planning, innovation, vision outweigh threats. I like to leave you with this quote. You don't have to be a hit right now out of the gate to become a successful entrepreneur. nor does your business idea need to remain intact to maximize the chances of success. Instead, open your mind to other possibilities and don't be afraid to make a major change, even if you're already a few years in. It might just be the change you need to save your business. All right. Well, listen, that's all the time that we have for today, but I hope you learned a lesson that you can start living on today. All right. So, my name is Dr. Sean M. Nicholson, and this has been Kingdom Business, where we're growing ministry and business. Don't forget, you can keep the conversation going at Kingdom Business 7. I'll see you here every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here on the powernetwork.tv. Remember, passion is the ability to pass I on. So until the next time, take care. Be safe. We'll see you then.